The following is provided by the New York State Lottery.
Win tonight's New York State Lotto jackpot and join the growing family of Lotto millionaires. The MC for tonight's Lotto drawing is Francis Padron.
Good evening and welcome to New York's Lotto drawing for today's Saturday, March 31st, 1990. The balls are in place 1 through 54, so let's play Lotto. Tonight's drawing, as always, is conducted and supervised by the New York State Lottery under the observation of an independent auditor from Coopers & Lybrand. There were no first prize winners in last Wednesday night's drawing. Tonight, should there be one first prize winner, he or she will win $11,500,000, including annuity interest. Multiple first prize winners will share the jackpot in accordance with lottery rules. And now for tonight's winning Lotto numbers. The first winning number is 19. Tonight's second winning number is 36. Our third winning number is 18. And the fourth winning number is 1. Tonight's fifth winning number is 26. And the sixth winning number to win or share over $11 million is 16. Supplementary number for fourth prize winners only is 6. The winning Lotto numbers for tonight are 19, 36, 18, 1, 26, and 16. The supplementary number is 6. It's easy to play Lotto. All you need is $1 and a dream. Thank you and have a good night.
Tonight, Gorbachev lays down the law. American servicemen seriously wounded in Honduras and a fatal cops and robbers shootout in Westchester County.
This is USA Tonight with Karen Hasby.
Good evening. 2 New York City police officers were shot and wounded this morning during a high-speed car chase and gun battle in Westchester County. The story may sound like a scene from a television detective show, but as Glenn Thompson reports, this cops and robbers shootout was the real thing.
This bullet-riddled getaway car came to a crashing halt after it rammed a guardrail in Westchester County. The 16-mile pursuit by police began in the Williamsbridge section of the Bronx early this morning at this check-cashing store. Up to 5 suspects made off with $69,000 in cash and the revolver of an off-duty police officer working in the store. They fled in 2 separate getaway cars. One of the cars was lost in the chase. Police took pursuit of the other at the Gun Hill exit on the Sprainbrook Parkway heading north at speeds approaching 100 miles per hour.
At the Hawthorne exit ramp, the suspect's vehicle crashed into a guardrail. At this point, an exchange of gunfire occurred between the robbery suspects and the police officers. One gunman was shot dead, and a second was wounded. 3 handguns were recovered at the scene: a .357 Magnum revolver, a .380 automatic pistol, and a .38 caliber revolver believed to have been taken during the robbery.
27-year-old police officer Glenn Whitter suffered a graze wound to his side. He was treated at the Westchester County Medical Center and released. 30-year-old Fernando Vasquez was hospitalized with a bullet wound in his left thigh. The pair received a visit from the police commissioner and Mayor Dinkins.
They're young and brave, and we appreciate them very much.
The 2 injured officers are said to be in good spirits after today's high-speed car chase. Both of the men thankful and lucky to be alive. In Westchester County, I'm Glenn Thompson reporting.
As of tonight, police say 3 robbery suspects are still at large. They apparently got away in a maroon Cougar that was last seen on East 233rd Street in the Bronx. The stolen money has not been recovered. It started as a peaceful protest by about 40,000 people against a new tax in Great Britain. It ended as a massive riot as thousands of militants rampaged through central London. More than 300 people are under arrest and dozens of police and civilians are hospitalized tonight. We have more from the BBC's John Andrew.
It was one of the biggest marches seen in London in recent years. Starting peacefully enough, it snaked through South London, across the river and past Parliament, to end in a rally at Trafalgar Square, addressed by speakers including Tony Benn. The head of the march was still pouring into the square as the first trouble began outside Downing Street, where part of the crowd had stopped. Mounted police tried to control the crowd, but were pelted with missiles from a nearby building site. One policeman was knocked unconscious. Then police at the head of Whitehall ran back towards Downing Street, pursued by angry demonstrators. But the worst trouble came in Trafalgar Square itself. Mounted police made several charges around the square. In one, a young woman was knocked down and run over by horses. Others from the crowd went in to carry her away. She was shaken, but still conscious. Then the looting began. Shop windows were broken and bottles grabbed. Stewards from the march pleaded with them to stop. Nearby, demonstrators had climbed onto scaffolding, egging on the crowd below. Later, the same building was engulfed by fire. Thick black smoke billowed across the square and over Nelson's column. At this stage, the square had been turned into a virtual battleground. Dozens of police and demonstrators were hurt by missiles including bottles, stones and scaffolding poles. And as the evening went on, the number of arrests mounted. Later, part of the crowd ran down Charing Cross Road and into London's Theatreland. Cars were overturned and set alight. As darkness fell, the trouble continued. Police trying to disperse crowds from Trafalgar Square. Many headed for the West End, smashing the windows of shops and restaurants on the way. For a time, Charing Cross Station was sealed off tonight by the police. It was an ugly finale to what the march organisers had hoped would be a massive but peaceful protest against the poll tax.
There were other protests today throughout England and Wales. That tax, which takes effect tomorrow, is a flat fee on every Briton 18 or older. It doesn't vary by income. Consequently, the richest man in the country pays as much as one of his servants. The tax has been called political cyanide for Margaret Thatcher's Conservative Party, now at its lowest popularity rating in 20 years. Violence in Central America today as well. Automatic weapons fired at American airmen in Honduras. 6 are hurt, 2 seriously. It happened on a bus about 6 miles north of the capital city, Tegucigalpa. The U.S. military spokesman says there were 3 snipers and adds that the Americans didn't have time to return the fire. A leftist group, the Marizano Front, has claimed responsibility. That same group claimed responsibility for the last major attack on American forces in Honduras. That was back in July. Tough words from Mikhail Gorbachev, a warning of grave consequences aimed at Lithuanian leaders. Glenn Thompson on the latest attempt to tighten the Soviet noose around the rebellious Baltic Republic.
The Soviet TV news bulletin relayed Mikhail Gorbachev's first formal statement since Lithuania's March 11th declaration of independence. The strongly worded 18-line statement was addressed to the legislature of the breakaway republic. Gorbachev saying Lithuania's leaders are taking steps running counter to the USSR Constitution that are openly challenging and insulting to the entire Soviet Union. Gorbachev urged the Lithuanian legislature to annul its declaration of independence and negotiate within the framework of the Soviet Constitution, warning of grave consequences if the Baltic Republic refuses. Hoping to pressure Lithuania to back down in its bid for independence, Soviet troops have occupied Communist Party buildings, paraded tanks through the streets, and demanded residents hand over their weapons. In Vilnius, the Lithuanian capital, the tough tactics continued today, uniformed men patrolling the printing press for the Republic's newspapers. Meanwhile, the Estonian Republic has declared its independence from the Soviet Union, but it's following a different course. The Republic's non-communist parliament on Friday called the Soviet Union an occupying power and pledged to restore full independence at the end of a still undetermined period. The Estonian document of independence was approved unanimously by 73 deputies with 3 abstentions. However, by not setting a specific time frame for independence, Estonia avoids a direct confrontation with Moscow, prompting one Lithuanian leader to say that the smaller Baltic state has learned from our bitter experience. I'm Glenn Thompson reporting.
And one other note, the neighboring Republic of Belarus says if Lithuania secedes, it will demand the return of large sections of territory that make up parts of present-day Lithuania. And another roadblock today in the path toward ending apartheid in South Africa. Nelson Mandela told thousands of supporters gathered at a rally that the African National Congress will not take part in talks with the South African government that were scheduled for April 11th. Mandela says he canceled those talks to protest Monday's killing of black demonstrators by the South African police. The BBC's James Robbins reports.
Nelson Mandela confirmed the postponement of talks at the latest of his packed rallies. Mr. Mandela said he told President de Klerk the ANC could not accept the government talking about negotiations on the one hand and murdering people on the other. The ANC is outraged by last Monday's police shootings in Sebokeng when they fired into a crowd of demonstrators, killing at least 11, wounding hundreds more. When Mr. Mandela visited the wounded in hospital on Wednesday, he was already promising them strong action in protest. President de Klerk told his supporters this afternoon the ANC postponement of talks could not be justified, but he did leave open the possibility that his police force could be at fault.
But let us, for argument's sake, assume that there might be room for criticism of police action. And I want to say that I cannot agree that such criticism should stand in the way of discussion.
The President is due to make a much fuller statement in Parliament on Monday, one which will be studied closely by the ANC. But already the ANC is indicating the delay to talks may not be a long one once the protest has been felt. Neither leader wants negotiations destroyed before they begin.
Violence also continues in Lebanon as rival Christian forces pounded East Beirut with artillery after a night of pitched battles for control of Lebanon's Christian section. Police report at least 52 people are dead and more than 100 wounded in this latest round of warfare, which erupted early yesterday. The new round of fighting shattered a March 3rd ceasefire agreement between the two groups. Meanwhile, Great Britain has deported an Iraqi Airways official arrested in connection with an alleged plot to smuggle nuclear weapon trigger parts to Iraq. A British newspaper reports that the airline official actually heads Iraq's external intelligence network in Britain. Iraq has denied it bought the triggers and has threatened retaliatory action over the official's expulsion. An execution case goes to the Supreme Court. That story's still ahead on USA Tonight. Also, tomorrow will be a give-and-take day. We'll explain. Encouraging news on the condition of pop singer Gloria Estefan and the final journey for some of the victims of the worst mass murder in our history.
USA Tonight, brought to you by Kellogg's Common Sense Oat Bran.
The following is provided by the New York State Lottery.
Good evening and welcome to New York Lottery's keynote drawing for today, Saturday, March 31st, 1990. We have just completed the drawing under the observation of an independent auditor from Coopers & Lybrand. The winning numbers drawn tonight have been placed on the posting board in ascending order, and they are 4, 5, 9, 13, 14, 17, 23, 38, 40, 41, 45, 46, 56, 57, 59, 61, 73, 74, 76, and 79. The cash jackpot for this draw is $460,000. You win or share the keynote jackpot by correctly choosing 10 out of the 20 winning numbers drawn. And don't forget Monday's Cash 40 jackpot is $300,000 for the New York State Lottery. I'm Sarah Presson. Thank you and have a good night.
The fate of Robert Harris is now in the hands of the Supreme Court. The convicted double murderer was set to die in the California gas chamber on Tuesday, but a federal judge ordered a stay. Now, the state of California is asking the High Court to lift that stay order. Harris was convicted of 2 murders 12 years ago. He would be the first convict executed in California in 23 years. Meanwhile, the bodies of 50 of the 87 victims of what's being called the worst mass murder in American history were loaded onto a cargo plane today for a midnight flight to their native Honduras. A brief memorial service was held for the victims of the torching of a social club in New York at the hangar where their